So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on the fourth panel of this conference, hemp conference, technical hemp conference, which is focused on hemp application and innovation. I've got that feeling that so far all those panels were focusing on implementation, those innovations into practice. So, but now this panel is dedicated directly to that topic. So let me please introduce you today's speakers. Online, we've got Steve Allin, the pioneer of the hemp industry, which is unfortunately not here because he's got a COVID. Then we've got on my right side, Mathys from the Hempwood, the American company, if I'm right. It's the European representation in Belgium, if I'm correct. Then we've got here Paolo Ronchetti from
Italy?
Yeah, from Italy. I'm thinking
Tecnocanapa?
Because I've got here Seminipore, Tecnocanapa. Thank you very much. Then we've got Patrik Majringer, which is also collaborating or working with hemp concrete. And last but not least, we've got Francesco Faralli from the Cormatex, the machinery lines for processing the hemp, correct? So please now, we've already introduced Steve. Steve, I think it's the time you can start your presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm very glad to be able to join you in some form. I'm very sorry I can't be there, but all the traveling that my wife and I did to our event just last week meant that we both ended up with COVID, and we are both in no state to be traveling. I hope I can be able to give you this presentation. So long as I don't start coughing, I'll be okay. Right, so you've been told who I am. I'm a hemp builder and a director of the IHBA. So, who am I? I'm a cannabis activist since 1972. You can see this picture of me when I'm a very young lad, but I was smoking pot, but I was also listening to and reading a lot of news on the underground press, the sort of hippie newspapers, and in there were reports about this new report that had been written by MIT called The Limits to Growth, which basically told us that there was no possibility of continuing this crazy lifestyle of 2 cars and all the luxuries that went with a Western lifestyle. So, amongst those other publications that were promoting the kind of solutions to this were things like the Whole Earth Catalogue, which was a bit like the internet before the internet was invented. It had information about how to obtain everything you needed for a sort of off-grid, online alternative lifestyle, from everything from yoga books to how to build a windmill to alternative housing. And another book that inspired me greatly was this Handmade Houses, A Guide to the Woodbutcher's Art, which was a collection of photographs from people that were living in the woods in the west coast of the US, building very alternative type of structures with quite sustainable and alternative materials. Then I moved back to Ireland, and before I did that, I became aware of the Emperor Wears No Clothes by Jack Arrar, and that made me into a hemp activist. I gave many copies away to my friends and then moved back to Ireland, where I started building my own home. I discovered the hemp building materials because in the appendix to one of his later editions, he mentioned the hemp building materials from Isochanve in France. And that inspired me to buy some materials to use in the house that I was part way through constructing, my thatched cottage in the west coast of Ireland, and I adapted it, used it as a plaster coat. You can see here on the left is a picture of my kitchen. This is the first ever hemp building job I did, where I plastered the walls with hemp plaster. And after a few months or years after doing this, I started to do it for other people because they liked what they saw in my house. And I ended up with hundreds of people phoning me up, asking me information about this system and whether they could buy it. So in the end, I decided to write a book because that was the only way I could explain the basics to everybody without having to spend days on the phone. And then they might come back to me with more educated questions. So then I started to think, well, I have to teach people how to use this, both to be able to sell them the materials, but also just so that other people could do it for themselves. And this was my first hemp building course. You can't see many people in the picture, but you can see that it involved describing and using all kinds of different versions. And the building we were actually holding this course in was a building that I designed and project managed. And this also had hemp plaster on the inside of it. This also led on to me being in contact with other groups who were interested in promoting alternative ideas. And a lot of those people were connected to permaculture. Permaculture was an idea that originated after the first sort of oil problem in around about 1972. Funny how a lot of things all started around that time. But that was when we had the first sort of oil crisis. And that was when also that it had been predicted that the US would reach its peak of oil production, something that the actual oil industry was absolutely horrified by. And they tried to discredit the scientist who came up with those ideas, a guy called Kevin Martin, and tried to dismiss the whole concept as ridiculous. However, some years later, a group of oil geologists from around the world attempted to do the same calculation for the whole planet rather than just the American industry. And they realized that around about the middle of the 2000s, the noughties, that we would be heading into a similar sort of situation. This inspired some students who were studying permaculture in a course in Kinsale in the southwest of Ireland, in County Cork, studying the very first accredited permaculture course, to invite me to come and teach them about hemp building. They then realized, when they'd amassed all this information about the impending doom, if you like, of oil becoming to be more expensive, and that climate change being a result of oil use was going to have dramatic implications for humanity, especially. So they got together and a plan called the Energy Descent Action Plan for their local town of Kinsale. This then got elaborated into the Transition Handbook, and that had other elements within it about housing, clothing, food, transport, and many other aspects of what that would entail, including a kind of psychotherapy or psychological aspect of how shocking it was to most people that the information of peak oil and climate change meant their futures were going to be vastly different. Something that the generation of Greta Thunberg is all too aware. In my attempts to spread this information more broadly, I decided to hold the first hemp building symposium, international one, in my hometown of Kenmare. And despite the remote location, we're a very small town right on the very west coast of Ireland, in the mountains by the sea. Over 70 people traveled from all over the world to attend, something which really amazed me at the time. And at the end of that symposium, we decided to form the first international hemp building association. Since then, we've held 11, or we've held 10 since then, 11 events altogether. The second one was in Granada, the third one in Switzerland, the fourth one in Wales, the fifth one in Germany, the sixth one in Italy, the seventh one in Canada, the eighth one in Brussels, the ninth one in online due to COVID, and the next one was the next one was so somehow that the next one sorry about this. The next one, of course, was in France, and then we held one last week. So, to miss that. After that, which last week's event was very interesting. I'm sure you can ask several people in the audience about the details of that. I'm not going to elaborate and spend any more time discussing that. But my other international activities were in teaching courses and trying to spread the information and the technology that way. This led me to go to Australia, USA, Costa Rica, Canada, Finland, Sweden, and many other places, including holding several at my home here in Ireland. And this helped enthuse people and spread the technology. Many people in these photographs that you see here have gone on to producing industries in their own countries. And I'm very proud to have been able to do this. I also has taken me to some very challenging places. Nepal, just because it's a place where there is not a lot of easy access to high tech, and not a lot of easy access to funds either. But a very intelligent family, you could say, invited me to come and see what I could show them and see whether it was relevant for them. They were in the process of building a new hospital in a town called Janakpur, or a city called Janakpur in the south of Nepal, which is near the Indian border, and they wanted to build a trial part of that hotel, of that hospital, as a waiting room out of hemp. So we had to adapt the steel frame that was already there and try and build a hemp structure around that. We did that with bamboo poles and split bamboo cane shuttering and that sort of thing. And that has gone, they've gone on there to form a company called Shiv, Shah Hemp Innovations. And they have now installed hemp in many buildings, including many existing hostels up in the Himalayas. It also took me to Haiti, where some of the people in your audience would be aware of Rit Valoria. She's there in the picture with me. And she was able to initially gain some funding from the Finnish government to try and create a school for ecological building where we would try to establish and introduce hemp into Haiti. Now, this is probably the most difficult of all projects. And as the people from Haiti that are at your conference now can tell you, Haiti is now in a very, very bad situation. But it was pretty difficult when I was there 8-9 years ago. And there was no chance of importing hemp easily. And by the time we did manage to import it, Ritva and I had to leave because our visas and stuff were running out, and our funds as well. So we did manage to teach some of the core group you see in that photograph to be able to build with hemp, and they did start building a structure. But unfortunately, the Finnish government ceased the funding dramatically because the government changed, and the remains of the structure that had been built was starting to be stolen by other people local to the site, and the materials are now, we hope, still in a yard in Port-au-Prince, but the man in charge of that yard is now a refugee in Texas himself. Another place that I've been to recently is the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where there is a possibility of trying to start up a hemp industry there. But the government, seeing the money that was being boasted about online of CBD and other medical stuff, thought, all right, well, to start an industry here, we're going to have to create a license. And for you guys to buy a license, that means you're going to have to spend at least a couple of million just to buy the license. So that's put that project on hold for a while. So there are a lot of range of opportunities when they say hemp building. It could be many different styles or types of building. You can see here a very, very low-tech version in Nepal where a widow who is very low down in the social scale appealed for some help to a local charity who put them onto Shiv Nivedita and Diraj of Shiv Hemp Building. And they came and helped enlarge her house and improve it greatly with hemp. With the volunteer help of people like Hanka, who happened to be in Nepal at the time. And that woman has now gone on to becoming a very important member of her community, whereas once she was shunned. The picture on the right is a very luxurious looking home. It's built with a very different type of technology, one that incorporates very modern aspects to building, an actual steel frame, in fact, with hemp panels fixed to the inside of that, with cast hempcrete applied to the outside of it to create a very modern and sophisticated looking building. We also not just about building existing houses, and it's not creating an alternative to concrete. That's something that needs to be stated early on. When we talk about hempcrete, we're not talking about something structural. So we're either talking about an existing structure of which there is a vast amount all over the planet that needs to be upgraded. The picture on the left here, it happens to be in Costa Rica, where it was more or less a small little cabin of the sort of traditional variety, built basically with very small, very thin concrete walls and a tin roof. And this was wrapped up in hempcrete with a sort of double layer roof to help with cooling. And this has proved very successful. As somebody was mentioning earlier, this is actually for the tourist trade and something that there's a sort of sector that's quite a good client for hemp building in many parts of the world. And the other picture, of course, is something that Paolo, one of your next speakers, will be able to explain to you in greater detail. But this is a classic example of a modern building built with all kinds of ecological aspects and aspects of controlling the heat from the sun, providing shade, providing a cool and comfortable atmosphere within it without loads of energy use. So we need to build new buildings, and there are many, many reasons to build new buildings. But of course, we have a huge building stock, whether it's residential, offices, or service buildings like hospitals or schools, that drastically need to be upgraded so that we reduce drastically the amount of energy that we use to heat or cool or light those sort of buildings.
Steve, thank you very much for a beautiful, beautiful presentation. But if you don't mind, we need to give the floor to the other speaker.
Well, that was just about it. That's it.
All right. So we will discuss later on after all the presentations. We can discuss more. But now I would like to ask Paolo Ronchetti if he can give his speech and presentation.
Can I get the... Hello, everyone. My name is Paolo Ronchetti. I've been involved with hemp building since 2006, first as a postgraduate student and a researcher, and then as an entrepreneur, and now as a manager. In 2011, I started up a company which was called Equilibrium, with the aim of introducing hempcrete construction in Italy. At the time, we had no hemp building in Italy. And since the beginning, my aim was to bring hempcrete to the industrial scale, because according to me, that was the only way to bring this technology to the stage that it deserves to be. In 2018, we joined Senini, which is an industrial player in the north of Italy. It is a large company with 5 plants. One of them is totally dedicated to hempcrete construction. We didn't invest into a new plant. We actually retrofitted an existing plant for making concrete blocks into a hempcrete blocks plant. The company core business is concrete products, mainly floors and blocks. As an industrial player, we decided to invest mainly on a patent. We patented a specific mix for hempcrete. We found out in 2015 that by using air lime and probiotics, we were able to speed up the hardening and the drying of the hempcrete by maintaining the highest breathability and the longest durability. We also invested in brands, basically, which, as you can see, represent all the products that we manufacture and sell. Briefly, as I said, we start from limestone. We use air lime, and by adding the probiotics, we speed up the carbonation, because probiotics releases CO2 still in a wet form. So this is, well, it's supposed to be a video, but it doesn't start, no problem. This is the plant, so it's press molding the blocks. As I said, we had to just do a little changes because you don't need that much pressure, you don't need that much vibration that you would do when you make concrete products. So with little investments, we were able to start up a new production line. As you can see here, it's a very low energy production. So no hot air, no ovens, just after press molding the blocks, they stay there in the air and they get hard, and then they get palletized and then stored outside and then sold. with the same plant, we also manufacture low-density hempcrete, which is sold ready to be used in big bags, 1 or 2 cubic meters, and it is used for insulating roof and floors. We also decided to invest in the spray machine application, which is an alternative to the construction with the blocks, and it really speeds up the construction cycle, because with this machine, which is our own machine, it's a new project we came up with, basically you can reach up to 30 cubic meters per day of applied materials. This was another video, but no problem. This is something very interesting because last year we obtained an environmental product declaration on the 3 main products, so the hemp blocks, the low-density insulation, and the sprayed applied hempcrete. And as you can see, all of them resulted in a negative CO2 value. So there is more CO2 sequestered and captured by the hempcrete materials than the overall CO2 emitted along the life cycle. So you can see it goes from minus 44 kilos of CO2 per cubic meter for the block up to 105 kilos of CO2 per cubic meter for the low density insulation. And since then, we were then able to count the quantity of CO2 that we contributed to sequester. And this is the homepage of our website. We update it every 3 months, and we are now, as you can see, over 1,000 tons of CO2, which is now transformed into carbon credits. Just to give you an idea, last year in 2022, we generated almost 300 verified emission credits, which are basically sold on the voluntary market. And I do expect that this figure is going to grow over time more and more, because we are just at the beginning. We do, of course, over time, since 2011, we've done hundreds of building sites all over Italy, as well as abroad. This is an interesting project. It's a hotel. It's a 4-star hotel just about to be built in a ski resort, 1,800 meters over the sea level. So temperature go down to minus 20 degrees during the winter. And the envelope was built just with a 40 centimeters hemp block. That's it. And the very same hemp block, it is used actually in the very south of Italy, like the building that Steve showed, where, of course, you have the opposite condition, very, very hot summers, like 40, 45 degrees. So this is the magic of hempcrete construction. Some interesting project that we did abroad. For example, this is an ashram from an Indian guru in Sweden. They wanted to retrofit existing buildings as well as build new constructions. We sold them our spray machine. We basically trained them for less than a week, and then they were able to work with no previous experience all by themselves. They did this job in 2019, and 2 years later, they built this huge construction by themselves. Of course, timber frame and hempcrete envelope. In this case, was a sprayed hempcrete. We distribute products in England. This was a school, as well as in Ireland, as well as in a number of countries all around the world. Of course, we are very much interested in finding partners in other countries, as well as Eastern Europe. So I'd be happy to talk with anybody interested. So this is just a an example of a few awards that we got over the past few years. And that's it.
Thank you, Paolo. It was impressive again, and I've got a couple of questions already for you, but I believe that you're nicely complementary, so I'll ask Tom Mathys from the Hempwood to jump in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Hempwood. First of all, I would like to thank everybody who organized this event, because today I think we have already received a lot of valuable information about all kinds of applications with hemp, and I hope Hempwood would also form an interesting addition to this. So my name is Tom Mathys. I'm from Belgium. I represent Hempwood outside of the United States. Hempwood is an American company, so located in the state of Kentucky. In Kentucky, we have two facilities in one and the same village, in the village of Murray. One factory that produces hempwood blocks, and another one that produces hempwood flooring made from these blocks. First of all, what is hempwood? Probably you can guess by the name. It is not a wood, if you think this. Of course, it is a product that tries to substitute wood using the complete hemp stalk, so without decortication. It's a very important point for you to know that the founder of Hempwood, Mr. Greg Wilson, has patented certain technology that allows the complete hemp stalk, so the inside and outside part of the stalk, to convert this into a wood substitute. The goal of this invention is to actually offer an alternative to the normal wood. The wood building material industry is estimated at about 500 billion euros worldwide. I'm talking about paneling, all kinds of building materials, flooring, and so on. So if we can, as Hempwood, if we can offer an eco-friendly, actually it is a carbon negative alternative to normal wood, that would be a fantastic achievement, even though our contribution would be small. We do see we have noticed from the very beginning that we started producing hempwood that there was interest worldwide from companies that wanted to start producing hempwood themselves in their own country. And this is something that we welcome very much. We can't do it all ourselves. You need a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of manpower to do this worldwide. So we welcome all companies that want to jump on the train, and we can help them setting up facilities. So here you see a more detailed image of what a hemp block looks like and hempwood flooring. So basically hempwood is a compressed material. It's 85% hemp stalks, 15% is a bonding agent. And we compress this under very high pressure to make this a very durable, hard alternative for wood. It's harder than oak. It's twice as hard as softwood. And so it has amazing technical properties. It's a patented technology. We have two patents, main patents that are registered in several countries. One patent mainly it's a cold press technology on the left-hand side, meaning that we compress blocks. On the right-hand side, you see the first page of a patent, which is a hot press technology, meaning we apply heat during compression to make, for example, large solid panels. As I said, for us it's really important that hempwood is produced by as many companies as possible worldwide, instead of setting up factories ourselves worldwide, of course, which is an impossible task to do. We have companies, requests from companies from each continent worldwide to actually use their own facilities. They want to use locally grown hemp. to use that and convert it in a factory that they would build themselves using local people and sell it locally. So this is a project that we very much support, and that's why we have this kind of license agreement policy in place, a license program that allows this to do. What are the main goals? Nothing surprising probably for this audience. Is of course, fight deforestation as much as we can. You all know how fast hemp can grow compared to normal trees. So it's a non-brainer basically to use hemp if we can use a complete stalk. It is also proven in different studies that if we use hemp as a raw material, that, for example, as a flooring, for example, in this room, instead of, let's say, vinyl flooring or plastic flooring or any other flooring that has certain more harmful or more chemical materials in it, that it has an impact on the cognitive capabilities of people. For example, we have concluded a very big contract with American schools. These schools have opted for our flooring, not just because it's eco-friendly and is the right thing to do, because it has been proven scientifically that students have a 10% better cognitive performance if they are in a room where there is no any harmful chemicals. So that's why we also call our floor healthy flooring. We do not use any formaldehyde, added formaldehyde in our production. It is purely, even the bonding agent is natural-based, it's a bio-based glue. So we do not, it would be easy to use formaldehyde, but we do not do it. We have chosen the difficult route of figuring out how to use natural components in our glue. We use mainly soy flour as the ingredient to make the bonding happening. This is a video, hopefully it works. Push this button probably. No sound.
Dried stalks are separated, crushed, and submerged in a plant-based, no-added formaldehyde resin. A drying kiln circulates air to cure the resin to the stalks. The hemp is then pressed into blocks and baked in the oven. Blocks are then carefully cut to order. The zero waste system uses leftover product to power the on-site bioburner. At the milling factory, Hempwood organic flooring comes together. Each piece is then boxed by hand and shipped to customers around the world. See how Hempwood can improve your healthy living space. Visit hempwood.com today.
Yes, okay, we're back. So in the video probably you have seen that our factory is not made in the most sophisticated way. Actually, I want to, Maciej Kowalski, you have visited our factory, and I want to join your point that you made that you don't have to invent all the machines or buy all the new machinery. Actually, many of the machinery that we have, that we have in our factory, comes from the tobacco industry. For example, our drying kilns, some of our drying racks, it comes from the tobacco industry because that was just in the area available. We used a sea container and converted it into also for drying and also for as a baking oven. So we have tried to use all kinds of cheap materials and make the best out of it, because sometimes the machines just don't exist for hemp application. You have to figure out yourself because having it made by companies will cost a fortune and will also cost a lot of time. So the production process, as you can see on the screen, we start from round bales usually. They can also use square bales, but round bales is the most easy to process. We We open the bale, we remove any foreign objects, then we will crush the complete hemp stalk. We will add our bonding agents, our glue. Then we will dry everything. Then we will compress into blocks. We will then bake again. We will add heat to these blocks so that the glue inside becomes liquid again, so that the block can cure. And then there will be a resting phase for these blocks to become as strong as they are. So Hempwood is actually the block, as you can see on the left-hand side. Now on the right-hand side, you see two different visuals. You see a more linear visual and a more random visual. Each of the two visuals is always present in a Hempwood block. The only thing we have to do is turn the block 90 degrees on its side and cut it in the other direction. The linear visual that you see on the left-hand side, you will probably also see a piece of flooring go around in the public. We use this linear visual for our flooring, for large panels, because it is the, let's say, the more straight, it has a more straight visual. It's the more, the visual that coincides more with normal parquet flooring. Whereas on the right-hand side, the random visual is something that is more used for designer objects. Here you see again a photograph of the lumber. So by cutting the block, we can make lumber, for example. Again, in the two visuals. But we can make all kinds of other products. On this slide, you see not only lumber, not only flooring, we can make furniture panels. One-sided furniture panels or furniture panels that have hempwood on both sides. We can even make solid furniture panels right now. For example, to be used as kitchen tops. It was going. Here are some photos of flooring. So we can actually give the flooring a certain color so that it has a different color than the natural color, but we always try to coat them in such a way that the original grain of the hemp is still visible. Here you can see this as well. We're also very proud that we have had a life cycle assessment that tells that our hempwood flooring is carbon negative. Actually, it's the only carbon negative wood flooring in the United States. It is a great achievement. Of course, we have 85% of the product that is hemp, sequestering about 1.62 tons of CO2 per ton of hemp. So this is, of course, already a very important component of it. But the reason why we have achieved this carbon negative status is also because 99.5% of our electricity comes from hydropower. This is also a very important part of this achievement. And we are also very conscious of how we process our waste. When we produce blocks or when we cut the blocks, of course, we have a certain hempwood waste. And we have designed our own bioburner, which will... So we burn our waste in this bioburner. This will create heat. And this heat we can reuse again in our own factory to heat, so as a power for the kilns, for our drying chambers, also to use in our baking oven to bake these blocks. So this is a very important component, and as a result, of course, after burning, we have biochar, we have the pot ash, let's say. This is also not wasted. We can sell this to farmers, and they use it on their land, for example, as a fertilizer. So almost nothing is wasted in our factory. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we've got a Czech representative, Patrik Majringer. Sorry for this.
My name is Patrik Majringer, and I start with natural material in 2007. In and mainly in Czech and Slovak Republic, Czechoslovakia. And during the time we start sell material mainly from hemp. For first it was colors, varnishes, oil for wood, from hemp ropes, from fibers. And second was hemp isolation, because in Czech Republic, in Moravia, was big company who produced hemp isolation, and we sell their products. We use it in roofs and the other, but I think Francesco tell you more about this isolation. I can show you only some picture, and there are some information about this, but some picture from our work. We use it to floors, to wall, to roofs, and the wall desk for contact isolation for brick houses. But we are there for hempcrete because it is a very interesting process, and my colleagues talk about it. There is some structure of hemp sheaf, and it is why this is isolation. And when you mix the hemp sheaf with lime binder and water, you can prepare isolation for roof, wall isolation, floor isolation, and you can prepare material for plasters. There is some construction. This is for our first visit in France, where we were with my colleagues. There is some test for fire resistance. This is from Great Britain. 72 minutes after this construction, the material was okay. And it is fire resistance, is okay for everything. But very important information are isolation parameters. Diffusivity, open material, good isolation for thermal conductivity, and very important things is temperature accumulation for hempcrete. But what is question for this time is CO2. CO2, it is like a mantra. Everybody talking, all European Union, all world talking about CO2. No, all world no, only the West. But I say my colleagues, the hempcrete or the hemp can catch a lot of CO2 from the air. And it is main process, and it is why we tell the people, yes, it could help for our future, because this material is really natural and carbon credit low. When I start with this material, I start with a little project, mainly reconstruction, repairing old houses, prepare for first floor, plasters, and the other. But in last time we start use hemp lime plasters, but clay hemp plasters together in old houses, and we built clay together mixed with hemp sheaf. Very nice design. It is our project from North Bohemia, Hejnice, hemp floors. Other project from two houses, Uholičky and Vraž u Berouna. It was isolation from outside. We used their hempcrete, but I can recommend this process for inside isolation. It is really better. Other in Panenský Týnec, earth chip, and we use their hempcrete too. Dobřichovice, near Praha, there we use hemp floor and little house under the new cottage from straw panels. Family house in Jamné u Tišnova in Moravia. It is modern house. There we use in roof hemp isolation, but all walls in this house are from hempcrete. Cottage in Kácov, it is Middle Bohemia. Roundhouse near Plzeň, in Záhoří u Nepomuku. It is very nice house, and there we were a lot of workshops with clients and potential clients. It is very nice house. And we made it mainly, we put hempcrete to the shuttering. Yes, it was our first work with this mixing machine. It is family house in Kňovice, South Bohemia. There are some details when we use it, and we put the hempcrete to the shuttering. There are some plasters. It is very nice project because owner of this house bring this material to the Czech Republic. He showed it before 2000 in TV, but nobody knows it, and he is my friend, and I sell him after this some material because he has a big knowledge and he teach me how to do. There are inside in the floor is hempcrete too, hempcrete isolation, hemp lime isolation. I can remember a very good guy, Vul Jordan. He taught me too. He was Belgian guy, and he left us, I think 3-4 weeks ago. Sorry, but Wolf was the capacity for lime and for using this lime with hempcrete, with hemp. There we teach how to do with this material with spraying machine. Graham Durant from Great Britain was there and teach us how to do. There are some important things: low thermal conductivity, medium density, and high heat capacity, fire resistance, and the other things. But now we have the new project in North Bohemia with company EcoBuild, and this is a natural park, farm of elements or garden of elements, and it is in Lánov near Vrchlabí. And there we built normal roundhouse from hempcrete. You can see here from hempcrete, and on the top are everywhere hemp oil lasers, varnishes, hemp oil for wood. Inside is hempcrete too, and after this we start new project with hempcrete blocks. We didn't know how to do a lot of information from internet, but we cooperate with project and architect office and prepare these pieces for wooden construction. And one of this roundhouse, because this is two house, in one is 7 room, and second house is for public presentation and something like a theater. And we built one roundhouse during 8 hours with these pieces. It was very interesting because after drying we can prepare very quick one house. And this is after. Later on the top is hemp oil, hemp varnishes, everything. And after this experience we start with new project, house Mila, we name it Mila, from prefabricated pieces, and now we prepare 9 houses near Lánov in North Bohemia for like a development project. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Patrik. And now we've got a last speaker, Francesco Faralli.
So first of all, thanks to Czech Hemp for inviting our company. And thanks all of you for coming. I'll be brief in this introduction. My name is Francesco Faralli, and I work for Cormatex. We are machinery producers based in Italy. Nowadays, it's the third generation that it's running the company that was founded in 1938. The company initially started in two sectors, wool and spinning from the very beginning, but around the 60s, the company decided to move also into the non-woven business. And around 2006, 2007, so almost 20 years ago, the company developed this machine, these two machines actually, two airlay machine, with the idea to process not just virgin fiber or virgin material, but mainly to process waste. So the machine has not been specifically designed for hemp. The idea behind the concept was to use, as you can see from the picture, even mattresses, paper, carpets, any kind of waste that can be grinded to form a sort of mat. And lately we discovered that the hemp fiber or hemp chives, with those kind of input material, we can achieve good quality of products. We have two machines, Labformer V and H, and the name depends on the orientation of the fiber. So in the H, the fiber are laid down on horizontal layer, while on the vertical one, they lay down vertically. I will not speak about all the products that can be processed through this machine, but I will just go directly to hemp. And as you can see here, we can basically process any kind of vegetable fibers. Here you have an idea of the fiber orientation. We can also merge these two lines to have a product with both kind of fiber orientation in order to have both advantages of fiber orientation, so vertical and horizontal. This is more or less how a line looks like. So we have, first of all, some bale openers where we are feeding and weighting the material. And after that, there is a primary opener that mix and blend all these fibers. And then a chemical application device that can spray any kind of liquid. So for building insulation, for example, flame retardant. After that, fine opener, depending on the type of fiber that we are feeding, if we need to be more, let's say, aggressive on the opening of the fiber. And then we have the airlay, so the forming machine. We can set different weight and of the products. And after the airlay, we can have a needle punch product, so would be 100% hemp fiber, or a thermobonded product. So in that case, at the beginning of the line, in one of the bale opener, we add thermoplastic fiber, a low melting fiber that can be both synthetic or natural one. And then the oven will basically melt this fiber to create the cohesion among the fibers. The main, let's say, advantage or innovation in this kind of technology is that we cannot process just the fiber, but we can even process the hemp chives or herds, I mean the wooden parts, to create these kind of panels, or even the fiber, but mixed with this wooden part. From the machine process standpoint of view, there is no issues, let's say, in mixing different kind of fiber and herds. This is more or less how the airlay looks like. So we have a feed condenser where we are blowing the fiber or any kind of input material. Then goes through a volumetric feeder that forms a first mat where we have a scale that is checking the weight of the product, and then there is this vertical section of the machine, the forming section, where we have 8 distributing rollers that are aerodynamically forming the mat. So at the end, at the bottom of the forming machine, we have some suction fans, so the machine is basically working a little bit in negative pressure. And then at the outlet of the machine, we have another scale to obviously check that the weight is on target. We can add any kind of powder or resin inside our product in a percentage up to even 60 or 70%. This can be, a flame retardant or any kind of resins. It can be even the binder if we don't want to use the thermoplastic fiber at the beginning of the line, can be any kind of resin to bind the material. These are some possible application. So in building insulation, home furnishing, and other interesting sectors that we've seen nowadays is for the food packaging or pharmaceutical packaging, where we are trying to replace plastic, any kind of plastic, with paper, but also natural fiber like hemp. And we do have a pilot line in our factory when the customer can come in with their fiber, so we can test, their fiber with our machine to make a small production, let's say. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Now, as I said from the very beginning, I'm not from the hemp industry. I work as an ecotech, person within the state. So I'm from outside. So I might have some naive questions. Let's play this game, right? I've heard here quite many times today that it's important that the hemp industry goes together. But to me, it seems that it's a highly competitive industry. Who is your client? How do you feel from the market at the moment? Are you satisfied with the demand on the market, or what are the biggest blocks within the strategy to go to market? Can we open up this question about the market? Is the market ready for you?
Can I start? No, this market is growing. I see it because long time in Czech Republic it is growing up. And during COVID, it was like a rocket, up to. But now we can feel some problems on all economics around the world, and we feel it. That's right. I don't know how my colleagues maybe tell you something different. I don't know. But I am afraid that the European Union don't support these materials because pushing CO2, but nothing to do for hemp.
Well, I think I wanted to also take that point. We all know hemp, of course. Everybody in this room knows hemp. We all know what the benefits are. But it has already been said a few times today that to really bring this to a larger scale, other types of people need to be aware of this. And I think politicians on a country level, on the European level, they have to be really aware of the fact that there is a very valuable solution if they're really serious about the Green Deal and about capturing a lot of CO2 and fight deforestation. There is a solution. We all know it, so it has to be brought to their attention as well. As I've heard today, also it can be a lengthy process, absolutely, but we have to start sometime. I'm sure it is already on its way. But yeah, a lot more contacts will have to be made on a national and on a European level to make the decision makers aware. And then you have, of course, the other part. Even if our politicians are convinced that yes, hemp is the way to go forward, we really need to focus on this. Then I think a good way of supporting our industry would be subsidizing. Already there are certain subsidies in place, but for me personally, for example, if Hempwood products would be subsidized, for example, if people would put Hempwood flooring in their house and would get a subsidy to do so instead of normal wood flooring, maybe people would be more interested or more aware of all the hemp products that we have on offer today. Then the last point, also we already covered a little bit today, what is the established industry? How are they looking at hemp products? In my case, Hempwood, of course, there's a lot of wood producers worldwide. How do they look at the new kid on the block? Is it welcoming, or is it? Is there a certain opposition to it? I think what I see now is that there is an interest also from the wood processors. They understand that they can make a difference using hemp. So hemp wood is indeed becoming more and more on the radar, even of wood manufacturers or wood processors, as an alternative, let's say, product range, as a complementary product next to their normal wood product.
Yeah, when I started my business venture 12 years ago, I didn't come from the building sector. So I came from a totally different perspective, like economics and business. So my expectation was 3 years' time of effort and work, and then we would have boomed, because hempcrete had so many properties in line with the trends of the time. Reality was totally different, and I found it out on my own skin. The construction industry has an innovation cycle of 8-9 years. That means that if you have a good idea, a good product, it takes at least 8 years for the product to be accepted by the market. Why? There is a very, very lack of innovation. All players like architects, builders, even final users don't like new products because there is a lot of money to be invested. Most of the time you do your life investment when you buy a house, so you don't trust new things. Even architects, they like to do the way they're used to. Builders, the same. So what we learned is that you need to take your time. You need to build up awareness in the market. You need to invest in training. You need to invest in promoting the products. And you need to be covered financially in order to face the time that is needed. So the market is there, will be there, but we just have to take a long-term perspective, because that's the rule of the game. We cannot do anything. Of course, we could be helped, we could be supported, but actually what has happened so far is basically the opposite. When we talk about hempcrete, we look at building materials for the envelope. We don't look at structural materials. So the competition is usually made of mineral or synthetic materials, which actually today they make 98-99% of the market. For example, in Italy, we had a scheme 2 years ago where if you wanted to refurbish, to retrofit your house, the government paid you back 110% of your investment. So let's say the cost of improving the energy efficiency of your house was 50,000 euro, the government gave you back 55,000 euro in tax credit. So, and then you could sell the credit to banks or financial entities to get your money back. But unfortunately, on the list of allowed material, there were only synthetic and mineral materials. No mention of natural materials. I'm not talking just about hemp. I'm talking about wood fiber. I'm talking about cork. So that made lots of confusion to the market, and we basically got a very, very, very tiny percentage of that. Why am I saying this? Because there is no interest from the public authorities to promote green building, and that's my view today. I have no doubt about that.
Thank you for that input, and maybe that passed me another question, because what is happening usually with other industries. Obviously, we can feel from that there is a lobby of other players, and they've got a stronger position. So hemp might be not there yet, but what happens usually here, especially in the Czech Republic, there is always someone on the university, some professor, maybe a bunch of the professors. And they are like very wisely saying this is the way to go, and they are usually invited in the sort of like a counseling committee for the politicians, and this usually helps. Or what Pavel Zedníček was talking about in the morning here, those guides of decarbonization, or especially the wood. I know that you are focusing on subsidizing the wood somehow, substitute the wood. But the wood, there is a lot of studies going on in the Nordic countries as well. What like positive effects does it have on people to be sitting in the wooden room, and how many CO2 is actually captured in the wood over there, and it's not gonna be burned out if they're not very unlucky. How do you see that in the hemp industry in your countries? Because you are all from different countries, different backgrounds. I would like to hear it like a benchmark, please. Thank you. The university background,
Okay, I start once more.
And Steve, we've got a Steve here. Sorry, I'm sorry if you wanna say something. You were left out the last round, so it's your turn. I'm sorry.
Well, if I can just say very briefly, there is the need for direct action, I think. We are running out of time. We cannot be messing around with endless bureaucracy and meetings in governments that take forever, or for universities to slowly change their modules. I think in the next few years, we will need to make some very dramatic statements publicly through mediums online like YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And we're going to need to make some direct actions at building events, that kind of thing, to really draw attention to the solutions we are offering. Because although we are still very small players, we have some very serious alternatives. Of course, we are still only small, but as we heard in the symposium, there are big moves happening, and there is a big factory just about to be built in Sweden. There is very large projects happening in places like Sweden, and these are great examples. We went to visit a massive building in Wurst in the Netherlands, the town hall, which saves thousands of units of energy, and they're now spending zero on that. And if that is not a great message for public bodies, for local governments and national governments to start spending money on our materials, I don't know what is.
Thank you.
My experience is when I start with hemp, because I was, as you, from another type of business, not from building industry. For first, I start visited architects and projects, and nobody won't talk with me because we don't stay in contact with some dealer, and hemp was like hell from them. But it's changing during time, and now we cooperate with Czech Hemp Cluster. We have Czech Hemp Institute. We're talking with people from government and with scientists from university, mainly in Prague, and I teaching because I going on the Steve step. And I teaching in my workshop in university in Brno and cooperate with ČVUT here in Prague. But this is really slowly process. Yeah, they are pushing, but this is slowly process. And I am optimistic from this in this case, because I see that they have an interest, but we will see how it will be in Czech Republic. We haven't this support as, for example, in Italy, from government and the other countries, France, have big support for hemp. It is not in Czech Republic, but I hope for changing.
Thank you. Gentlemen, want to take a word?
Yes, I wanted to add that from our side, we also work a lot with universities, mainly for product development, but of course they also come in contact with other organizations. And they also see, of course, the benefits of hemp. Most of our inquiries, let's say large-scale inquiries, come from architects, specifiers, designers who have found our product, who are really looking for a carbon neutral, carbon negative, durable product, and luckily then they come very often in our way. So this is of course an evolution that we very much welcome, because these are large projects, thousands and thousands of square meters or cubic meters that come under the attention. But yeah, I also join your opinion that it's going too slow. It's just a lengthy process, and talking to politicians can be indeed a very lengthy process. It is, of course, they make the laws, so we really need to make people understand that this is the right thing to do. It's the way of helping the industry, helping end consumer, helping ourselves in the long term. But yeah, there has to be awareness. We have to increase awareness of people who are outside of the hemp industry as well, so that it can be put on another level, a much, much bigger level.
Just wanted to add one thing. Someone in a previous presentation said we are a niche in a niche. And that's what I do believe in the building sector as Hempcrete we're doing. So this means we cannot expect to be the market leader anytime soon. But what I'm seeing over, well, actually today, is that our niche has totally changed compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago. Now, the size of the project, the players we talk to are totally different. At the beginning, we used to work with like fundamentalists, like very environmentally friendly, focused people. Now we do work with real estate developers, people that decide to invest in 8, 10 apartments buildings, and they decide to use an Hempcrete envelope because it's easier to sell properties, it's easier to sell the apartments. We also saw that so this is in terms of scale and in terms of the people we talk to. We are also seeing a very interesting trend in terms of tourism, in terms of providing eco solution for people that go on holiday. That's another very interesting trend. So, you know, as someone said before, it is very important to focus, to be aware about the client you work with, and to know him very, very well, so that you can talk the way he talks, so that you can use the words that he uses, so that it's going to be easier to get in touch and to understand each other.
Okay. Maybe I can also add another optimistic feedback, let's say, not about the future, but the present nowadays. As I said before, we are working in many kind of business segments, let's say, not just building insulation, but can be automotive, interlinings for jackets, for textile. And what we see is that nowadays, the majority of our business is coming recently for building insulation, and I would say that 90% of the inquiries and then of the lines sold are for natural fibers, and among those fibers, hemp is for sure the main one, I would say. So what we see from our perspective is that the business for this kind of application. So home insulation made of hemp fiber is really growing a lot, not in future, but now.
This is great to hear. And maybe I will have a last question and then I will hand over to the audience, or, you know, I will give you the mic already, because we've got last 30 minutes before the matchmaking or the evening schedule.
Hi, so my question is regarding retrofitting readily existing buildings. So I'm thinking specifically, for example, in cases where projects are abandoned halfway through. I have in mind a skyscraper in Paris which stayed abandoned for about 20 years, called La Tour Pleyel, which they're currently retrofitting, not at all with hempcrete, but would that be something which would be conceivable in the situation, for example, where all the structural elements are there, but what's missing is the walls, what's missing is the insulation materials? Is that something that could be possible? Because that's a case which exists in a lot of cities where skyscrapers or developments were halfway built, the structure is there, but it's not finished. Could that be done with hempcrete, for example?
Yes, absolutely. The example you're talking about is more like a new construction than a retrofitting, because when we use hempcrete, we always start from a structure, from a structural frame, which can be made of concrete, of timber, of steel. So hempcrete would definitely be the solution, but it would also be the best solution for retrofitting existing buildings like this one, like buildings that were built 50, 60, even 30, even 20 years ago, which are now totally, inefficient from an energy point of view. And we found out that it is just about adding 6 centimeters of hempcrete to the inside of the construction in order to totally avoid the energy dissipation during winter and the energy accumulation during summer. So very, very simple intervention, very, very cheap intervention, but a highly, efficient in terms of, result.
I think Steve wanted to say something.
The hotel that's been recently finished in South Africa is a classic example of this, where they use hemp blocks and an existing structure. But there are increasingly a large number of such structures in all cities as people have moved towards working from home. And there are many office buildings that are now empty, and they desperately need to be refurbished as accommodation due to the large number of refugees and immigrants that we are getting due to war and climate change. So it's a huge market, and as Paolo's just said, it's also a huge market for many buildings that are also being currently used, like the town hall we went to see, or the building in Yverdon in Switzerland that was encased in hempcrete many years ago, and many, many buildings that are currently very energy inefficient. And all it needs to be done is the hempcrete either needs to be cast manually, sprayed, or hempcrete blocks are applied to the outside of it. There are many different ways of doing that, and it will have a great effect, as has been proved with all the cost reductions of the costs of heating or cooling.
Thank you very much, Steve. Great comment to that. I want to add to that as well, not just asking a question. So everyone is asking, why is the building industry not reflecting? Why our architects are not running towards us in large groups? Well, there's one simple reason. At least that's true for Germany. And I'm following that very closely. So one reason being, Germany is focusing very much on stocking up existing buildings with 2 other levels, which mainly means the structural element has to bear another 2 levels of accommodation, meaning you have to build light buildings. So hempcrete or hemp-based buildings will be ideal. And they have built an alliance with some governmental institutes and research institutes together. But then again, you have the already existing building industry going straight into this, lobbying their material. And once this alliance is finished, which I believe in about 1.5 years, they have built and written down all the planning that is being done on stocking up. So if the hemp industry is not able to supply the same amount of information on their material, and then I'm coming now to the question or the comment being said about retrofitting. So we have a huge problem that we can't prove so far, at least to my knowledge, that applying 6 centimeters of hempcrete on the inside of an existing building does prevent moisture from building up in the existing space. And I know it's a completely nonsense to ask this question in the first place, but I've talked to a scientist, and he is responsible for doing the approval of hemp building materials and building practices when it comes to moisture buildup and then the result being mold or other moisture originated problems in existing buildings. And he, as a scientist, said to me, yeah, but you can say that, but you need to prove it scientifically, and therefore you need to do at least 3 years of research, and you have to take all the sensors in, and you need to do this, that, and something else. So there is a lot of barriers that has been built by the existing industry to prevent something new coming in fast way. And one last comment, and then I'll shut up, is the only way that hemp will be applied faster if an existing industry, like in Finland, the paper industry, all of a sudden finds out, hang on a minute, trees are not there naturally in vast amounts all the time. So they're shutting down the first paper mill because of tree shortage. So they've all of a sudden realized after 100 years, trees are not growing naturally as fast as they expected to, growing their industry. So we need to be ready when industries realize that their natural resources of biomass will not be readily available as it was in the past. So that's our moment now, and that's why I agree on everything being said on this panel. We need to run out and get the message out, as Steve said, on all levels and tell people, we know that you're going to run out of material in the next couple of years. We are here and we get ready, and we need to talk to investors and tell them exactly the same information. If you invest now, in 5 years, you've got your return on your balance sheet. Thank you very much.
That was a very nice comment. And I would like to add and ask you all, maybe, are you aware of smart specialization of your countries? There is a strategy called smart specialization. Every region has got their own smart specialization. It will be very good, I believe, to push the hemp industry into those smart specialization where it is related to where you have some hemp facility. This is quite important tool to actually push that through, to let the universities to be, doing their research on it and to getting the results, put it into the system from my own experience or perspective. Steve, sorry, I jumped to you. What you wanted to say something?
No problem. I just wanted to add that Michael was asking for examples for academia to look at. There are many examples, and a good few of them are in my new book, which I sent a box of books to your conference. I was just going to say that you can sell them, 30 euros each, and keep the money for the Czech Hemp Group. But they are the sort of books that need to be shown to these academics to say, well, there is 10, 15 more, maybe years of example here of evidence. And if that is not enough, then, you need to look at yourselves. The academic world, you relies on modules to teach these new architects, and their modules are so out of date. And then they're just finding ways to be lazy and not do the research to find the projects to use as examples.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 3 minutes, so let's jump in with another question, please.
Thank you, sir. I have heard of the combination of using bamboo structure with hemp walls. Now, I would like to know your opinion on that. And then the gentleman mentioned that we will have a shortage of trees, of mature trees, because we are cutting them too quickly. Is there, first of all, I would like to know your opinion on combining the two. And then secondly, is there a competition on the market between bamboo replacing wood and hemp replacing wood?
My bamboo house, Steve, I guess.
Yep.
Combination.
Come on, Jane, read the book. It's in the book.
It's this book. I'll put it there.
No, not that one. The new one. I sent a box to Prague of this book.
We've got this one.
Well, yeah, but the new
it's not
book,
there, eh?
There's a box of this book should be for you to sell.
We will ask Hanka.
Just give my experience. We have now developed a dome frame made of bamboo with hempcrete envelope. But the main obstacle to selling this solution is that in Italy, and I guess all over Europe, bamboo is not recognized as a structural material. So you would not find engineers signing the projects unless you did your own research and you, prove that the structure can be load-bearing according to the current regulations. So there is the possibility to substitute timber with bamboo, like in Asia they normally do. They've been doing for so many years. But again, we lack the culture, we lack the regulation, and we need to add them up. We need to provide them.
Okay. So we've got time. If you don't mind, we will just forget that it's already half. We got like five more minutes, let's say. So is there any question?
Okay, just say yes or no. Are prices of these materials your companies do equal to prices of competing companies like concrete? Yes or no?
Yes, they are for new construction at the moment in Italy.
Okay. And the second question is, do you have enough material? Isn't this a problem for you, like through the year?
For the moment, it's not, because we sign supply agreements with an industrial partner so that we are not in shortage for the moment.
Thank you. And the last one is, how much approximately per year is necessary per, you different companies, different people, different countries. How much material, like the stalks, you need approximately?
At the moment, we look at 600 tons of hemp sheave. 600 tons.
Okay, thank you so much. You're great.
Can I see any hands? No, it's finished. No, I have a just very last question, if I may. If I may ask you, one or two things the hemp industry should do within next 3 years. One, maximum two things, in order to Jane in general? The hemp industry from your point of view. So it could be building. Steve?
Well, the EIHA, European Industrial Hemp Association, has a working group attempting to devise the best method of achieving a CE marking for hemp products in Europe, which would help market them. And we need to really approach the academic world and make them aware of our products and more or less force them to change, to introduce that into their modules. So young architects are taught reality and the future rather than the past.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree with Steve, certainly about the architect part. This is also what we try to do, is to make architects as aware as possible of the possibilities of using hemp as a construction material. Right now, hempwood is non-structural, non-load bearing, but we already have the patents in place to make it structural. The tests are already going on. Within 2 years, we will have a hempwood that is structural. This means that that all the wooden parts of a house, the frame, the roof, even also for exterior use, will be possible to make it from hempwood. So we hope that this is a big step forward in because the building industry, let's say, construction industry is 10 times, I don't know exactly, but I've heard numbers of 10 times bigger than the interior wood industry. So right now we can replace anything inside a house that is non-load bearing made out of wood. The next step will be in 2025, I think, that also beams, load-bearing beams, and so on, structural walls will be. It will be possible to make it from hempwood. So, if architects are aware of this, and the general public is aware of this, then there is hope that wood will be more and more replaced by hempwood. But it will take a lot of work, of course.
I believe all players in the hemp building sector are now supposed to get together in a sort of a trade organization in order to have one single voice and in order to make the figure much bigger, in order to have a higher weight in terms of policy making, lobbying, and so on. This is what actually the HEIA is trying to do. But it's not easy to put many people together, and it's going to take time. But this is the right way to go, I believe.
This amazing flower hemp, really quick growing, and I believe that all this industry around her will be grow with her. Thank you.
It's very positive, very nice.
Yeah, maybe this is a question that our customers are more qualified to answer. But just to say, maybe my point of view, just regarding Italy, maybe, is that the situation on the supply chain maybe needs still to be developed and structured a little bit more compared to other European countries, northern countries. Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists, thank you very much for a very nice panel.